Hi, this is Scott with Android Guys.
And this is Luke.
It's time to hang with the guys.
Hey!
Hey, so we're early.
Yeah.
We moved up a business day.
Yeah. You don't check your calendar.
It's not a Monday.
Yeah.
We're gonna move it up slowly.
Yeah.
To where this just becomes a more timely one, so that if we do talk about something that was announced, it doesn't have to sit for 6 days.
It doesn't feel like you don't listen to it and go, yeah, I heard about that last week, guys.
Yeah, dude, that was last week. Yeah, no, this will be...
Not that we're like super bleeding edge, but we do hear a couple things every once in a while.
Yeah, and we, keep up with the news. That is part of our beat.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Luke, you and I have been getting deeper into our goal of more multimedia.
Yeah.
And as part of that was, starting over the summer was, let's get the podcast back.
Yep.
Let's get consistent with it.
Yep.
And continue to deliver on that and get it to where, we're putting out something 5 out of 7 days a week.
Yeah.
And we might record in groups of things, but I'm enjoying that pace.
Yeah.
And I feel like we are also at a point where we could really get loose and just start to cover and do a lot of things.
Sure.
We've got lists of ideas and topics and stuff that we would like to do that I think 2022 should be pretty fun.
Yeah.
But we're also, as part of that, is looking to get more into video.
Yeah.
We've been shooting and we've been recording game footage of everything we review.
Right.
And we were doing fairly well with putting out a YouTube video with those, but I think we're getting ready to scale that and be consistent.
Yep.
And then introduce more stuff. So up until, recently, Android Guys was largely a written, that was where you went for news.
Right.
But we have decided that, it obviously makes a lot of sense to spread the wings a bit and do more multimedia and social media.
Yep.
And let our audience kind of figure out where they want to consume the content.
Yeah.
So we'll still do the written and the reviews and have a staff of guys that are, dedicated to covering news and all the other stuff. But I think if you are paying close attention, you'll see that Android Guys as a brand will continue to expand here in the next couple of weeks, couple of months. I'm anxious to see how we handle CES.
Yeah.
And what we do there. But I'm also looking forward to trying different things.
Sure.
After 14 years, I think it's time to, I've never been against video.
Sure.
Never been against the podcast. We did this almost, 14 years ago we were doing podcasts.
That's right.
And then we did it for a while. And then, for a couple of years we had a Monday night show that was done live and then published immediately after. And that kind of went away. Sure. And then I think in my mind, I had always been kind of like we'd get writers would come to the team and they're like, oh, we need to do a podcast. And I'm like,
been there, done that.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
And when we go back to doing it, I want to do it right.
Yeah.
I don't know if I necessarily want to hand off a podcast to something that hasn't, I want to control the brand of that, or the way that works. But
a lot of it too with Android Guys in the past has been news focused for the most part.
Yeah.
And it's hard in something that's not written to make, you try and find info or things to fill that time, and you start creating news out of things that maybe aren't news.
That was a very slippery slope,
right?
With covering Android for a while was, the first year we didn't even know what was going on. There were no phones.
Right.
So it's like, are we reading tea leaves and guessing? And,
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation.
yep, interviewing developers who were bold enough to at least try Android, but we don't know if those are going to be any good.
Yeah.
And then after a while, it was, we were one of the only sites that was doing like leaked images of devices
Sure.
and rumors, and so that was all that we could keep up with. And then, I mean, it's a global thing, so there's no like, let's go to bed and we'll do it tomorrow. You can wake up and there's things we missed.
Yeah.
But we slowed down and stopped trying to like cover everything. We stopped treating everything as newsworthy.
Right.
And I think audience, just consumption of that type of information changed too, because not everybody knew about a MyTouch 3G phone in 2008.
Right.
But everybody knows about the Galaxy S20,
right?
In 2020, because every tech site's covering it.
Yep.
So I have to figure out: are we trying to compete with every tech site, or are we trying to do what we want?
Right.
So I look forward to doing more of what we want.
Yeah.
And got a lot of fun ideas.
Yeah. Well, this is one of those things.
Yeah. There's the actual idea of this show, the Hanging with the Guys format, is just. It's free form.
Yeah.
Like we put together just the most bare bones itinerary or things we want to make sure we talk about.
Yeah.
And then we just shoot from the hip.
Right.
But I look forward to doing, having guests on this show.
Yeah.
That they could come on and hang with the guys.
Hey.
Interviews with, software developers, wireless carriers, influential people in the space, and just continue to grow that. So that's, it's an interesting time of year to try these things, because it is kind of that quiet period before CES.
Sure.
Whatever CES happens to look like this year.
Right.
But it's also kind of like that, hey, you know what? It's not as busy. Let's take a little bit of time and try some new things.
Sure.
We're not doing it in the middle of the rush seasons of, but there's every other phone and every other product. And like, when that happens, we'll be in a different position.
Sure.
So, but along with that, it is now just about December.
Wow. It is.
You get a Christmas tree yet?
Yeah. We got our Christmas tree that we've had for 12 years.
Oh, so it's
not real.
Okay.
It comes up from the basement.
Pre-lit?
No.
Okay.
No. So we put lights on it. And you know what? That's the easiest thing for us, because we are a family of allergies.
Mm-hmm.
And so real trees tend to disrupt the balance in the house. And, I would say like watering, but that's really not a thing anymore. It's pretty easy to stay on top of watering your tree if you have a real tree. But I think for us, it's ease and allergies is the most, most prevalent.
Do you do a family, like everybody get together at once to kind of light it and hang ornaments?
Oh, yeah. So we do it for the last, I don't know, probably the last 10 years, I would say. We've done Sunday after Thanksgiving is when we do the tree.
Okay.
I'm very adamant on the no Christmas before Thanksgiving.
Oh, at all. Let that holiday have its space.
Yeah, let it have its space, even if it's just a day or 2 days. We can get to it on Sunday, or we can play Christmas music in the house on Friday. That's fine. But up until Thanksgiving, there's no Christmas in this house unless you're making a Christmas list. That's all you can do.
Okay.
But yeah, so the Sunday after Thanksgiving is when we get together. We put up the tree, and I usually do all the lights, and then we all have our own like personal ornaments. The stuff that either people have got us or we grew up with, or all that kind of stuff. So we all have our own box of ornaments that we put on, and then we have a box of like family ornaments.
Okay,
where it's just free form, grab whatever you want, put it on the tree. And the boys are old enough now that they know where to put things, and it's
They
not
don't
like
front load the
yeah,
certain area. They
it's
keep
not
putting it.
like
Yeah.
at their eye height
Yeah.
and one side.
Keep going
So
to yeah.
so they're pretty good about making sure it's all filled all the way around. And then my wife, has all of the other Christmas decorations for inside the house that she puts up everywhere. And that's about it.
We do a real tree.
Yeah.
And our tradition is to go the Saturday after Thanksgiving, and we go cut it down.
Nice.
So we've gone to, except for the one year.
Like Griswold's, where you go out in the middle of nowhere and you're
this
cutting
year
down
was
a big old tree.
This year was an interesting one.
Yeah.
We've gone to the same place except for 1 year.
Okay.
There was 1 year we went and found this place.
That was on the dark timeline.
Well, yeah, we reference it a lot. We went and they had every tree in the field individually tagged with prices on them.
Oh, interesting.
And they basically had priced them based off of size and aesthetics.
Okay.
So if this looked like a nice tree,
it was more expensive.
It was more expensive.
Okay.
You get to another one, you're like, this one's okay, but it's got some weird.
Are we talking like dollar differences or like $5 increments?
You would see one tree, you're like, oh, this one's 72, and then you look over there, like that one next to it's 90. And you're like, why? Like,
yeah.
Well, look how much fuller this is.
Interesting.
And, yeah. So we found another place that we've been going to for years.
Yeah.
And so it's been, I want to say 15 now.
Nice.
But we go out there, and it's weird because when you look at some of the older photos, there was more snow. And we're pulling my son in the sled, and he walking around. He's trying to pull the sled at one point, and he looks like a bundled up. He's walking like an Ewok. Yeah. He can barely.
He looks like the little brother in Christmas Story.
Yes, can barely stand up. Kind of just puffy.
Yeah.
So we've gone to this place, and when you get out, they give you a map that says where things are at, and they actually have sample pieces they have cut off of each tree, so you can look at like a legend or whatever.
Oh, like what kind of
so you're like, oh, this was the soft one we like. Okay, so where are those? And you can see on the map. But every year we go out there, and I think to myself, man, this has got to be the year where they run out. This has to be the year when they run out. This was the year when we were there for a very long time trying to find a tree that we liked. You can find plenty of trees still.
Sure.
But more and more sections are becoming baby trees. So they're like 3 foot tall.
Is that because of just they've kind of...
The sections just get picked over and they have to rebound.
So is it because of rebound, like the trees aren't growing as fast, or is it because people are buying trees earlier and earlier?
It might be both. I don't know.
Interesting. Okay.
And I know that, certain sections, you just look at them and you can tell they just kind of went through and just took out the last bit and just planted some other stuff. And like in another couple years, they will be worth, considering.
Sure.
But you look at the maps and you're like, well, these are going to be between 4 and 9 feet tall. And you get there and they're like all 5-6 feet.
Yeah.
Thin. But, so we do the whole thing, man. We go out there, you get a sled and a saw and you hike around. We went to, we walked all the way to the southbound end.
Yeah.
And then turned around and said, well, maybe we want a different type this year because the selection.
Yeah.
So we went all the way to literally the northbound end of the property.
Wow. Yeah.
And then we were just about ready to decide on which ones. And we're like, these needles are going to be hard. And I don't know if they're going to dry out. And didn't we get on a tree one year where the needles just seemed to fall off? I'm like, let's go back over. So we went back to the southbound end. Finally found one.
Nice.
Got it. Took it home. Got it all,
you guys
end to stand.
So we've never gotten a real tree like that before. Since I moved out, we had a real tree, growing up, but I don't remember really much of that. because most of my teenage years we had a fake tree also. But do you do the whole like strap it to the roof of the car?
Yeah, after you cut it down, you can take it back, and they have a machine that they will stand the tree up on that just shimmies. So it's designed to like shake out anything dead, any like random loose pieces or animals, bugs, anything that happens to be hitchhiking.
Yeah.
And then they run it through a baler, which really shrinks it down and wraps the string around it.
Gotcha.
This was the first year that we took somebody not from our family.
Okay.
The girlfriend went with us.
All right. All right.
They've been dating over 2 years now.
Sure.
So he's 18.
Yeah.
We're lucky to have him with us.
Sure.
Right. We're lucky that he wants to hang with mom and dad and still do the thing. So we invited her the Monday before we went. We actually had an invitation that we had printed out.
Nice.
Give it to her in an envelope that was like, you were formally invited to the Webster tree selection of 2021.
I love it.
And she had her RSVP, and she like texted right away, "I'm in." You know, she was
cool.
she realized the gravity of the moment.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah.
But so yeah, she had a blast. We all did, and they have a nice big like a barn with some like tons of ornaments and hot cider and popcorn and all these other things you can do.
Nice. Yeah.
So it's a whole thing.
Cool. How long does the process take? How long did it take for you? Now you said
on average.
Yeah. Okay. Sure.
This year was different.
Yeah.
We started early. The invitation said 9 a.m.
Okay.
because we had a certain high-profile college football game to watch that day.
I don't want to talk about that.
That we won't. We don't have to.
Okay.
It was a rivalry weekend.
Yes.
And I wanted to be home in time to start that game.
Yes.
Now, we may not have won that game because I wasn't home at kickoff. So I don't know. Might be my fault.
If that's your fault, then we have a whole nother conversation, maybe off air.
I don't know if it's a conversation or if I'm just getting yelled at. Like,
this might be a one-sided conversation.
Yeah, a punishment. Normally, you can go out there, find your tree, spend the time inside, and in an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And then it's only like a 20, 25-minute drive.
Okay.
So you could do part of your day.
Sure.
So that was Saturday. Then Sunday, Saturday night, we set the tree in its stand, let it drop, and then we decorated on Sundays.
Nice.
So decorated up, lights. I've got the twinkly lights from last year.
Yeah.
I couldn't wait to put those back up. Twinkly LED lights. Those are awesome. If you guys didn't see the review we did, or if you're looking for something cool, I know that, you might have your tree already decorated, but twinkly lights are cool. You can control them by your app, and there are new light patterns this year that weren't there last year.
Nice.
The app, there's a firmware update and some other things that I was pleasantly surprised with. And then
so it's funny that you say twinkly because Rachel, she was looking at stuff on. She always looks through of like, hey, after Christmas we should look for stuff on sale. She's like, I saw these lights and I think they're sweet. And she's not that person. She doesn't. She is very frugal, which I'm very lucky for because we would be in trouble if she wasn't. But she was like, these look really cool. We should get them. I was like, funny story. We reviewed those.
Yeah.
And Scott has them on his tree right now. And I was showing her pictures and she's like, oh yeah, those look sweet. And I was like, well, if you want them, we will get them.
Yeah. So
because I've wanted to get them.
Yeah.
But,
they have different lengths or number of bulbs.
Yeah. And
they're really cool. Like you could, we put on a string of multicolored lights, but then we put those on top of it. And then you can just do different things. Like if you wanted it to make it look like there's just white, like snow coming down the tree.
Yeah.
That's a cool effect.
Yeah.
You can tie it to Google Home.
Nice.
So you can tell your assistant to change the lights to whatever.
Nice.
So if you are a fan of smart lights and just want to try something cool, they are somewhat weather resistant. but they're not the kind that I would feel comfortable leaving out all year round.
Yeah, so I think in looking recently, Twinkly has like an outdoor option.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
they have like, the icicle style, and then they
Mm-hmm.
have a couple other styles that are more for like outdoor, it seems like.
And the colors are awesome because
Yeah.
it's not like it just dances between like six.
No, it's like a
all.
true RGB spectrum.
Yeah, and you can really make like if you just wanted like peach and orange and yellows and reds to kind of like stay in that, or if you wanted it to just be like zebra stripes.
Yeah,
or
I mean, for those people that have like a theme, like my mom, used to do like a theme tree. She would do our family tree like in the living room, and then she would have a theme tree like somewhere else or whatever. Those lights are really nice because you can program that color to what you want.
And I almost left them out last year to just kind of put like over our fireplace mantle.
Sure. Yeah.
There just happened to be too many for that.
Yeah.
But a smaller strand of those or string of those, because then you can just make them like candlelight.
Right.
And then they just look classy all year round.
Yeah.
Or if you wanted to kind of drape them, wrap them around, if you've got railing or steps, you can do that to make it look like the colors are kind of running up the steps. But you can make them any color. So if you have, after Christmas, you can kind of have a period where you can just kind of leave them as like soft white with tinsel or garland. And then, right into February, just turn them on, make them reds and pinks.
Sure.
So they're really cool.
Nice.
And then I also set up this weekend my Christmas lights outside.
Oh, nice.
So we decided this year we were going to go with red and white instead of like multicolor. For years, my wife has wanted to do like old-fashioned, warm-looking bulbs that are just kind of like, remind you of like childhood.
Sure.
But everything's LED blue.
Yeah.
And the colors just don't look quite the same.
Right.
So we've struggled with that, and we've just basically not decorated for a while. And I've gone out and we've used Nova Stella has sent us some different lights to review. And so I'll tend to put those in the yard because then they can kind of stay a static color or blink them through like different colors. At Halloween, I put them in the yard and they were green and purple,
right?
And then now I have the yard set up with red and white lights, strings everywhere. And then I have them just kind of projecting red on their trees. But then if I wanted to, I could have them kind of dance between red and white.
Sure.
And it makes, looks more intentional when it's all.
Right.
My wife is she has a very discerning eye.
Sure.
When we'll drive by a house and she's like, no, I need to go talk to those people. Because it just looks like they just, whatever somebody gave them.
Yeah.
Or like they just drove around and collected lights.
Right. It's all the leftovers from the last couple of years that they don't have on the tree anymore.
Yeah. And they're like, just the one around the corner from us had like white, like soft candlelight white going around the edge of their porch. And then they'll run a line of lights to another part of their house, but it just kind of drapes in their yard.
Yeah.
But they had like it connected, but it was like the bright white LED.
Yeah.
So they weren't even like the same white.
Yeah.
And then in their bush, they'll throw like a net that's like multicolored. And then they'll have like the thing that projects the creepy crawly like hex bug looking thing.
Yeah.
There's snowflakes on your house. And it's just like everything, So yeah, we call it. Are you familiar with hex bugs? The little toys. That's what some of them look like to us. It's just like colored bugs crawling on a house, but done right, they look okay. Sure. So if you're listening to this and you're like, "Hey, man,
that's what I have.
I've got snowflakes that do that."
I trust that yours is probably fine.
Yeah. So, So she's
unless
like,
you live in Scott's neighborhood, and then
if you're that guy,
you should come over and talk.
We'll talk offline. It's a one-way conversation. I learned it from Luke. So we wanted to do something different this year, and I think it looks cool.
Yeah.
It was. I wish I would have done it maybe a couple of days earlier because the weather was pretty cold.
Yeah.
But Yeah, so that's where I am now. As
Cool.
we get ready to head into December, we are headed into a month of just fun content.
Oh my gosh, so much stuff coming out.
Like TV, I'm seeing commercials on TV for the Book of Boba Fett,
Yeah,
and I'm getting hype.
yeah. Spider-Man,
Spider Man.
Matrix.
Yep.
Oh man.
Uh, I had a completely different week from the last time we talked, where
Okay.
I couldn't watch very much
Right.
last time because I had to go to Laguna Beach.
Yeah, I had to.
I had this work thing. Um, I watched a little bit more this time.
Yeah.
I caught up with. I watched Red Notice.
Yeah.
You had
Okay.
talked about that.
What did you think?
I liked it.
Yeah.
It was exactly what I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
Even from way back when they were like, here's a promotional photo of the three of them,
Yeah.
and here's the plot synopsis. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, let me guess which one's the cop and which one,
Yeah.
like, boy. I would be on board for more.
Sure.
I don't need more.
Sure.
I've seen much worse movies.
Yeah.
And like we started to watch it. Well, the night we put our tree up and we were outside, I mean, it was cold. So there's that, you just, you get tired easy this time of year. And my wife starts to doze off, and I'm like, normally it's me, I was like, we can stop if you want. You don't have to do. And then it just kind of got to a point where I looked over and she had kind of like faded out.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm going to keep watching this.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see what they actually do here.
It was so that movie for me was like, I was really having fun watching it.
Yeah.
But I don't need to watch it again.
Yeah.
It's not like, and it's not one of those, if you, I think we've said this, Ryan Reynolds is Ryan Reynolds.
Mhm.
The Rock is The Rock. And Gal Gadot, love her to death, but she's who she is.
She's pretty.
She plays a lot,
Yeah.
very, very similar characters a lot of the time. And, you know what you're getting into.
Mhm.
And if you've seen, one of their movies, you've probably seen this movie.
Yeah.
Because there's very similar characters.
I was
entertained the whole time.
Yeah, knowing that they dangled the idea of like she might be working with somebody, that they talk a little bit about their backgrounds, but not a lot. Like
Mhm.
they kind of put these threads out there that I'm like, oh, I'm interested in tugging on this one a little bit more.
Right.
Yeah, the movie was over, and she wakes up, towards the end, and I'm like, did you see the one scene? She's like, no, I was asleep. And I was like, well, if you want to watch it, I'll watch it again. I might play on my phone. I might,
Right.
whatever. But yeah, it was. I've spent the same amount of time doing many, many other things that I did not enjoy as
Yeah,
much.
you grit. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Red Notice, if you haven't seen it, I would say check it out.
Yeah. If you like those actors, you'll probably like the movie.
Yeah, and if you're just looking for some mindless adventure,
Mhm.
maybe a little bit of heist, how you're going to get out of the situations.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep, that's on Netflix.
Yep. I went to the theater.
Did you?
I did. And I saw Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Also, did I.
What did you think of that?
Oh, man. So, Ghostbusters is my thing.
Yeah.
That's my favorite property of all time. And I was so hype when, the last one came out. I was ready to see Ghostbusters again. I was ready for an all-girl team. I was like, you know what? Give it to them. I want to live in this world again.
Give me ghosts.
Yeah.
Give me, yeah.
And that movie came out and it was fine. There's some really funny parts, and then, ultimately it's fine.
Mhm.
And so this one, I decided to, not set myself up for anything. I was really excited to be back in the world, so I was very excited to see it. And I tried to stay away from any spoilers. I tried to stay away from really any trailers even.
Yeah, once you know it's coming,
Right.
that's all you needed.
I didn't want to piece things together or anything. And so my movie going experience was, we talked a little bit earlier, and I think my movie going experience was a little different than yours. But man, I really loved it.
Yeah.
I was very, very pleased with how Jason Reitman handled the world, handled the story. He definitely, uh, you can definitely tell he cared. He
Yeah.
cared about making it good, but also making it fit.
Yeah, it didn't feel like he was tasked with it. It looked more like he asked for permission to do it
Yeah,
and came and said, "Hey, this is what I'd like to do."
yeah,
Working with his dad on it too.
sure.
He's going to have that kind
Yeah,
of
and his
like,
dad was, one of the original writers of the original.
like,
So
what were you thinking, or how did you handle this, or
yeah.
if I want to do this, does it feel foreign to that?
Hmm.
Does it betray the stuff that came before?
Right.
Um, yeah, I knew a couple of things that I mean, I stayed away from any spoiler stuff,
Hmm.
but there was the one thing we talked about. I was like, wait, you didn't get that from the trailer, but you hadn't really watched any of those.
No.
You kind of just said, that's all I need. I don't want to see any more. And I kind of applaud that because I'm the same way. When I see a trailer, I tend to kind of hold on to certain things in my mind.
Hmm.
And, I start to figure out, well, those are obviously two scenes that are just smashed together for the trailer.
Sure.
That dialogue is not from that scene
Right.
or whatever. But then there are also things where I'll see an action sequence or something, and I'll know that obviously the character is going to get through this because I haven't heard that line yet.
Or I haven't seen that scene yet.
Yeah. Oh, we still have to get to the jungle somehow.
Right.
So I know they're getting out of this,
Right.
or whatever movie. So, but it's so hard to do that when you're excited about something too.
I know.
But I liked it, and I think we talked a little bit about how it was like reminded of The Force Awakens.
Yeah.
In that it gives you a chance to go back.
Yep.
And gives you a chance to relive things, but it's also done in a story that's like it rhymes.
Yep.
And there are things that are almost like they're callbacks and references that are kind of like clever.
Yeah.
And also kind of like that's a world that you could kind of be generic and cheap, cheeky with.
Yeah.
That are just going to be like, yeah, of course that's what,
Right.
And I almost felt like at a couple points, I wanted to see certain things happen that would have been almost mirrored from the old ones. That it was kind of like, oh, I hope they do this.
Sure.
But I liked it. It felt consistent with like the special effects.
Yeah.
They didn't feel like they said, no, the proton packs, this is what they should actually look like.
Right.
This is how that science would work.
Yeah.
And even it looked like they used practical effects for the dogs or whatever, just the way the heads of the neck articulate. I dug it.
Yeah, it definitely felt like a continuation of a story, not a new a new chapter. Like it felt like it was even down to just how the original score was used in the movie was really smart. It didn't feel out of place. It was part of, you hear certain music come on and you're like, oh,
this is a happy-go-lucky scene.
I know the part of this movie.
Yeah.
Like I know what's coming up it was very much a respectful nod to the original movies, but set it up in such a way that we're going to see more Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
We're going to see more of this world. And I think he kind of set himself up. I imagine he's going to be the one helming a second if there's another. Set himself up to kind of do whatever he wants now.
Yeah.
Because he did the hard work of tying it to the original and made it believable. And so now he can use different characters or new places or new ideas, and it's not like, well, what about all this other stuff that we've built up? Like it was a good kind of cap to our story so far with a lot of potential for the future.
And it was able to kind of tie back into the original story without a way of going, dude, there's no more meat on the bones.
Right.
That it feels like there was still something they could pick at.
Right.
That makes this exist for a reason.
Yep.
Um, yeah, and I mean, it was an enjoyable time.
Yeah.
I went in there and I just thought, okay, this is, I have an idea of what this movie's going to be like, and it hit it.
Yeah.
And I mean that in a good way.
Yeah.
I didn't have high hopes, but I also uh, wanted to see it.
Right.
Where it was kind of like sometimes you get in that I should go see a movie. I need to get out of the house. What do I want to see? I don't know if I want to go sit through that, but I was kind of like, hey babe, are we gonna go see Ghostbusters?
Yeah.
Are we? Did you want to see? She's like, yeah. I'm like, oh, good. Are we doing the 5:30 then, or like I'm ready when you are. So, let's see, what else did I watch? It was I was able to. I didn't see them on the day they put them out, but I watched after Thanksgiving. We watched the first 2 episodes of Hawkeye.
Same.
What did you think of that?
I really liked it. I was a little bit leery after seeing the trailers for that. That I was like, okay, Hawkeye. From what we've seen of Hawkeye through the MCU, he's a pretty serious character.
Pretty straight laced. Pretty.
Yeah.
I'm a regular dude.
Regular dude. He's grappled a little bit with the I'm not super kind of thing, and we saw what happened when the snap happened and all this kind of stuff, and he really went through a dark time, and then the things with it, I don't know if we're staying away from spoilers, but some pretty serious stuff happened with him and one of his really good friends.
Yeah.
So his character has gone through quite a bit.
Yeah.
And in the trailer, the first trailer we saw, or the teaser, I guess maybe it seemed like a very crazy, zany Christmas movie.
Yeah.
It was a little bit, ridiculous, a little
like he was just going to be on this one adventure after another.
Yeah, kind of this wild ride of Christmas craziness.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not that. It's definitely feels like a Marvel drama.
Mm-hmm.
It's got some funny stuff. It's got some lighthearted stuff. But there's a lot of story there still to explore. It's interesting to see, how they're putting this world together with, it's based on the arc of Hawkeye from the last couple years more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some characters in that arc that we've seen in Marvel, but not in the MCU.
Yeah.
We've seen there's some alluding to those characters. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. Yep. Because without saying too much, we've kind of been told that these are not these things that we know are not MCU approved.
Right.
But they're also not.
They don't not exist at all.
They don't not exist. Right. Yeah. So it's kind of an interesting place to be as a fan watching the story unfold, because you don't know exactly how it's going to unfold. But the characters are good. There's the mom's boyfriend kind of idea. That character is a very cool character, very interesting to see how they're gonna play out. And I found myself in only in the first episode really caring about the main character and how she fits in to to this world, and I feel fairly I kind of believe her motives. I believe her attitude. I don't think she doesn't seem like a girl that just wants to be Hawkeye. Mm-hmm. She definitely has a drive to her.
Yeah. I like the fact that not the world isn't at risk.
Yes.
the universe isn't
Yes.
being attacked by something,
Right.
and we can have a more intimate kind of story.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
That, this can go on at the same time as these other things.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm okay if Marvel takes that route of there's the big stuff happening, but here's another way of looking at these characters that everybody knows and loves that can exist at the same time, where you don't have to put them all on a team. You don't have to, but you can kind of reference each other.
It's also, this is what these characters are dealing with when they're not saving the world.
Yeah.
They're saving the city, or they're saving their sanity, or they're saving the neighborhood.
Yeah.
We're
just dealing with the stress of being a person of that age, being a dad.
Right.
I mean, half the conversations he's had so far in the show is, with his kids, with his wife, and what he wants to do versus what he's got to finish right now. But what are there, like 4 more episodes? Is it like 6 total?
6 total episodes. Yeah.
If so far it feels like that's all the story we need.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily see anything happening where I'm like, oh, you can't cut this short.
Right.
I'm also cool with some of the things we might have talked about offline. If they're introduced, of like, okay, how does that all fit?
Right.
Yeah, it's enjoyable stuff.
Yeah.
I like the idea that when it's over, the week after that is Boba Fett.
Yeah. And then Spider-Man.
Well,
Spider-Man's like
Spider-Man happens
right before it ends.
Yep.
Then Boba Fett, and then Matrix.
Well, let's see. Matrix will be Christmas, right?
Yeah.
And then Boba Fett's 29th.
Yeah.
So we'll get a couple of them.
Yeah, Matrix, then Hawkeye ends, then Boba Fett. Oh, man. Too much good stuff.
And then there's Christmas and New Year's Eve.
Yeah. Real life stuff.
Yeah. Let's see. Anything else you've watched?
Yeah. So I, when I haven't been watching that kind of stuff, I watched. So Netflix does this. The algorithm is very, very good, and they just know what to put in front of you at the right times. It seems like.
Did you do Play Something?
No, I didn't. I've never done Play Something because I'm always scared. There's a lot of things in my list that I put in my list of like, I want to watch this, but I don't necessarily ever want to watch it right now.
It's the same reason I don't use mixes on YouTube Music.
Right.
Because I don't want it to go between Max Richter and Pink Floyd and Johnny Cash, but then play something from like 1980 REM album. I'm like, no, I'm not in the mood for that either. Yeah. I can't just hit random. So I'm afraid to hit that button too.
I definitely have, I watch things based on the mood I'm in.
Yeah.
And so Play Something, I don't know if I've ever been in the mood of I'm going to be okay with whatever you decide.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I did scroll down and I had seen it for a couple days. I had seen this movie and it was one of those like, oh, I remember watching this movie when it first came out and I laughed, but I wonder if it holds up. And then I finally decided, let's see if it holds up. And that was 21 Jump Street.
Yeah, yeah.
So with Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill. And that movie is not great.
Mm-hmm.
But I laughed so hard during that movie. And there's so many things I forgot about that movie. Like, I forgot Brie Larson is in that movie. She plays a high schooler.
Yeah.
Like, that seems so strange. I forgot Rob Riggle was in it, and he is just ridiculous personified.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he is just the epitome of a crazy man. That movie was funny. It's very funny. There's a lot of, like teenage boy humor. That's the whole movie. It's, it's nothing. It's not some great story of, some awesome life lesson. Like, it's just
and it's not nowhere near the earnest story that the show was.
No, not at all. But it is an entertaining time, and it's silly, and it made me laugh again and again and
Yeah.
again, over and over again. The whole movie, I was just different ridiculous things, different one-liners, you know, certain looks or things that would happen.
Mm-hmm.
It was just like, man, this is so ridiculous, so dumb. So I watched that,
Yeah.
and that's it is what it is. Whatever. If you hate it, it's fine. I thought it was funny. Um,
If
and
you
then,
hate that movie, come see me. I want to talk to you offline.
right. If you hate it, let me know. I want to know, and I will be okay with that.
Yeah.
I don't have to defend myself. I'm allowed to. I'm allowed to watch stupid things on my own time. The other thing though I got into was this show called School of Chocolate. It's a reality cooking show on Netflix. It's this world class chocolatier. His name is Amari Guishan, and it's
Oh yeah.
I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. I'm probably not,
I
but
wonder if it's French. I wonder if it's Guichon. Guichon.
yeah, something like that. Anyway, this guy he got famous from social media mostly. His chocolate work is incredible, just world class. He makes chandeliers and huge sculptures. And
Was this the guy you were showing me on Instagram?
yes,
Okay.
so he has this culinary learning center in Las Vegas, and this takes place. I don't know if it takes place there or if it's just takes place, on whatever set that they made up. It seems like it's a building, but it could just be a set because it's just one big area. It seems like, and there's different rooms. But the idea is there's like 8 to 10 professionals. I don't remember exactly how many there are, but they're professional chefs or pastry chefs or sous chefs or whatever that come, and they're competing kind of. There's no weekly elimination or anything. So they're going through, and what happens is he kind of teaches a technique of, here's how you make a solid column out of chocolate, or here's how you laminate chocolate to make it strong enough to hang under its own weight.
Interesting.
Or here's the idea of making, realistic objects out of food. And the idea of the dichotomy of what you see versus what you taste. And so he'll give these kind of little presentations or little, how-to kind of things. And then he'll say, your challenge for today is to recreate something that does this. And whether it's everybody for themselves, or they break people up into teams and then they compete. And then at the end of the day, he'll give somebody an award. It's him, and he's the main judge and jury of the show, but he also has his 2 assistants who are his personal assistant, personal chef assistants. They also help judge and kind of go around and they're kind of tertiary characters, give a little bit of feedback and info to people as they're working on things, but also feedback and info to Amari, as far as oh yeah, I like how this person did this. So they do a little bit of judging too. And so at the end of the show, they'll give somebody they'll give one of the people gets the best of the class.
Okay.
And so the idea is, by the end of however many episodes there are, one person is going to win $100,000 and a chance to come teach a seminar at his culinary school in Las Vegas.
Okay.
So it is a competition. They are competing for some money, but it's not like the normal competitions where we see, somebody gets eliminated every week and it's down to the best of the best and they compete. It seems like there are people that have been rising, up from the crowd as they've gotten, star pupil throughout episodes, but for the most part, and he does this other interesting thing where if somebody's having a problem with one of those techniques, they will be maybe held back from competing in the next thing to work on
to get better at it.
To get better at that.
Okay.
So it is really kind of seems like it's more focused on teaching these chefs how to better their craft, and not necessarily just compete for, it's a, you're bad, so you're out. It's you're bad, so let's help you get better.
Okay.
So it's kind of cool. I will say it's a little cheesy. It's a little bit, I don't know if, knowing how reality TV works, I don't know if it's a little bit of producer coached in certain aspects. But it's very interesting to see people make crazy things out of chocolate.
Did they release all the episodes at once?
Yes.
Okay. How many have you gone through?
I've gotten through like 4.
Okay.
So,
so a lot of shows, competitions tend to revolve around building towards this pressure of a situation, and then the payoff, and then the judging, and the tension, and the commercial breaks, and all that stuff.
Right.
How does this show do that? I mean,
there's definitely like drama and tension, but it's drama. There's not really interpersonal conflict with people. It seems kind of like people are celebrating the people that do well. It's kind of has, I mentioned a couple weeks ago or so, Great British Bake Off, and how it's a little refreshing because they're competing, but they're not necessarily against each other.
Yeah.
They are competing against each other, but the thing that's refreshing is they're helping each other. Right. And there's been aspects in this show where people have been like, hey, I got done early. Can I help you with something?
Okay.
And so it's nice because it's not super cutthroat.
Yeah.
The drama and the tension comes from, we're trying to make this, this big sculpture out of chocolate. Is it going to stay up? Is it going to collapse? Or is this thing going to turn out how we wanted? And so it's kind of the antagonist of the show is the chocolate more than the your fellow chef. So that, I think maybe that's what's drawing me more to the show, is it's not as much of what we normally see. But I wish it was a little bit less on the nose.
Oh yeah.
A little bit less like, hey, this guy is really good. Let's give him a show. And then figure out something around him more than, let's make this a good show.
Okay.
It seems more of a way to showcase the master chocolatier versus, a fully thought out show concept.
Gotcha.
But the chocolate work is incredible.
Yeah.
It's one of those things that I don't have any desire to learn how to do.
Well, that was my question.
And I don't know how to do.
Mm-hmm.
But when I see it, I'm like, that's really cool.
That was my question, is between this and you talked about the Great British.
Yeah.
And like even knowing who Richard Blaze was before I went out of town, are you a big sucker for just like food cooking shows?
I think I am. Like now, I really do. But
are you a big like? Do you like to cook?
No, not really.
Okay.
I will cook.
Mm-hmm.
And I enjoy it when I do, but it's not something that's like, oh man, I really feel like cooking. Or I want to try this. Or
this show inspires me.
No, not at all.
Wow.
So I don't know what that is. I really like food.
Yeah.
I know that, but it's not one of those things where I watch these shows for inspiration and I want to try and do what they do.
Mm-hmm.
It's one of those things where I think I enjoy seeing people do things that I know I can't do.
Yeah.
And I enjoy watching people be good at that things that I see and just go, I could never do that. That's awesome.
Yeah. Do you have YouTube TV?
I do.
You ever watch Taste Made channel?
No. All right.
Put it on your radar.
All right.
That is probably one of the only channels or shows that we watch where we find ourselves some nights where we're just like, what do you want to watch? I don't care. Here, you take the remote. You know, and it's just kind of flip, flip, flip. But it's just like nonstop short form cooking.
Oh, nice.
Where, you know, you might have like a half-hour episode of something, but there are a lot of things where it's just like real quick and simple things.
Yeah.
And then there's I'm trying to think of what the show is. The name escapes me at this moment. I'll think of it here. But the whole premise of the series or the show is to eat as cheaply as possible.
Oh.
And it's designed to take advantage of, you know, you need to make a sauce. You open up the drawer and you've got like your ketchups and ranch and honey and stuff you brought home from other restaurants. Yeah. And, you know, you put these things together and you use the
couple of spices and
the soy sauce, the salt and pepper packets,
apple cider vinegar, and you got yourself a. Yeah.
And so they'll do that and they'll break it down and show you like this whole thing fed me for $1.89.
Interesting.
Or this fed a family of 4, and then you're looking at it was like $2.36 a person. So it's really cool. I'll think of the name here when we pivot topics.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, Taste Made.
Okay, I'll have to check it out.
You can go to their website and see the recipes and stuff. And
oh, that's cool.
That's one where we'll watch and go, ooh.
Have you tried to do that? Have you tried to make any of that stuff?
I've saved a lot of ideas.
Okay.
But never gone and followed something where like I want to make that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a good one.
Cool.
But I don't think it has to be a YouTube TV thing.
Yeah, sure.
I just know that I have it
on YouTube TV. Yeah, makes sense. I really like YouTube TV. Speaking of, I've had it for. I got it during football season. So when football season started up, I was like, you know what? There's not a way to watch the Browns or the Falcons. Unfortunately, because I live in Ohio, there's not really a way to watch the Falcons unless they're playing somebody that other people care about. But a way to watch the Browns. And so I got YouTube TV, and I forgot how much I like it. It's a really nice service.
I like being able to just pull it up on my phone in the grocery store. And I'm just walking around, you know, I can catch the game. You ever watch football on your phone?
Yeah.
Dude, the bottom half of the screen where it shows like scores and highlights and you can see like other things that are happening. It's made for phones. It's gorgeous.
I know, man. It's awesome.
And I like just being able to just pull up the same DVR.
Yes.
You know, cloud DVR anywhere and everywhere.
Yep.
Yeah. I was a day one person, so they broke my heart when they went from $35 to like $55.
Yeah.
And then I moved it again. But
if you have sports stuff, it's even more.
Yeah.
Yuck.
But what are you gonna do? I mean, some of the alternatives are about the same price.
Yeah, same difference anymore. Sure.
But I'm like, well, yeah, I could still watch my shows.
Yeah. Well, I decided to just live in the ecosystem I'm already in.
Yeah.
It's in Google, so it works.
I feel like if I was. Is that included in the Pixel Pass thing?
No.
So that's like YouTube Music, I think?
YouTube Music and YouTube Premium.
Premium, okay. Yeah, if that was... Because, I mean, I'm a Google everything anyways.
Yeah.
I'm a Google One, a Google Drive. You know, I pay for a lot of that stuff and use it, but I think that's just part of me is like, I like what Google's doing.
Yeah.
I don't have any problem with it.
Yeah.
The name of that show is called Struggle Meals, by the way.
Struggle Meals. All right, I'll
Told
check
you,
it out.
As soon as we pivoted,
that's right.
I would have.
That's all you have to do, get your mind off of it.
Yeah, the idea is you're a college kid, you struggle, and
you
know, there's plenty of recipes to start out with ramen noodles.
Yeah.
You know, but it's not you take the packet and do this, but you do the noodles and then you do this.
Sure.
And garnish it with this.
There's a show on YouTube that I watch that is worth it. It's made by I think it was BuzzFeed originally, and then I think the guy split off from BuzzFeed. But it's the show is called Worth It, and the idea is they take 3 different restaurants and price points and say let's say we're gonna get chicken and waffles.
Okay.
And they go to the low price, the medium price, and the high price, and then they say which one was worth it.
Okay.
Based on, what was the most worth it. The cheap one is cheap, but did it taste good? Or
right. Is there something in paying more for?
Right.
Sometimes you don't have to.
Yeah.
But,
and so, I like that show too.
I wish there was less content to consume.
Yeah.
But I don't.
Or just more time to consume that content.
I know there are, you can look up like infographics and websites of like emotions that have no word.
Yeah.
Or feelings that there's no English word for.
Yeah.
There's got to be one for the way I feel when I think of all the content in my head that I'm like, that's a book I want to read. That's an album I want to listen to. That's a podcast that I want to subscribe to. That's a show that I want to watch. That's a show that I want to watch again. Because
it'd be interesting to see how much content, like over the course of a year, you have saved that you haven't consumed. Like, how much hours of content do I have in the queue that I'll never watch?
We can't do that. You can't put that in. Can't give that power.
Right.
That's what
I have 48 days worth of straight content that I will never get
to break even at this point. Right. And then there's going to be new stuff.
Right.
And new properties and new things that are and then you pair that up against the calendar of how many of these days do I have left on my own calendar?
Yeah, right.
To devote to these things.
Yeah.
So, this is the existential dread segment of the show where we talk about running out of time.
Shoulda, coulda, wouldas.
Yeah. I don't have any other notes for things. I know I talked about the lights and things, Christmas trees.
Yeah.
A little bit. Any products that you...
Yeah. So just real quick, we've been messing around with these One Audio headphones. We got 2 different sets of headphones to review from them. It's a brand that I had never heard of before.
Mm-hmm.
And, the headphones, we see so many headphones through here. Earbuds, headphones, all kinds of audio listening devices.
Yeah.
And so it's easy to say, I've never heard of this. I'll give it a shot. I'm not holding my breath.
To go in willing to be more critical.
Yeah, absolutely.
If you go with a brand, you're like, these are Sony. I'm sure they're pretty good.
Right. Kind of know what to expect.
How dare I presuppose that they're good?
Right.
But when they're a brand, you're like, I don't know. Do you want to take these?
Yeah. Sure. So. I'll take them. And so I've been messing around with them. And honestly, from the open, from cracking them open and just looking at them, pretty awesome.
Yeah.
They are very well made, and then with as well made as they are, they back it up with the sound quality.
Mm-hmm.
We got 2 different models. We got the A30, which is their wireless headphones.
Mm-hmm.
Both of these are over-the-ear headphones. And then we got the Monitor 60, which is more of a studio-style reference headphone.
Mm-hmm.
And, man, these things are comfortable. They sound good. They have a really nice wide dynamic range. You can hear the highs. You can hear the lows. And it all feels punchy. It's not just muddy. It's very clear sounding stuff. Well made. And
they're not blurry.
The sound is not blurry. And I was very surprised from a brand that I had never heard of, and for the quality of them, and for the the quality and the make quality and the sound quality, they're very affordable.
Yeah,
both of these pairs that I tried come in at sub $100. Where the studio ones, the Monitor 60s, I wouldn't have been surprised if they would have been $150.
Yeah.
And
let me tee you up with a question that I already knew the answer to.
Okay.
Hey, I've never heard of that brand.
Yeah.
It sure sounds good. That price sounds nice.
Yeah.
What if they're a piece of junk?
You have a 2-year warranty on them.
Oh, see, I knew that though.
Yeah, for 2 years. Like,
Yeah.
and I think that's one that's almost unheard of.
Yeah,
Um,
without forcing you to register or jump through some kind of a hoop.
It just comes standard.
Yeah,
Uh, they, yeah, it's one of those times where, I think the reason people are leery of the unknown uh brand is because generally they don't pay off. There's a reason that we know the brands we know, because they're the ones that are consistently putting out good things. But these are really nice headphones. If you're looking for a good headphone, whether it's a commuter headphone, a wireless one, or you're looking for something nice for your computer, or for referencing if you're doing any kind of audio recording or anything, both of these, for the price, they're really quality. And that's One Audio.
ONE
ODIO.
ODIO. One Audio.
One Audio. And yeah, so I just wanted to throw that out there. I've been messing around with them and very pleasantly surprised.
It's so tough with, like you said, we see plenty of things.
Yeah.
And you just kind of, I want to put those aside because I'll go back to those and use those. And then you look over and you're like, I have 4 similar things on my shelf that I want to grab, like, which of these, But when it comes to recommending to like friends and family, and they're like, what's a good brand? That's, I've found that, even for phones, I'll tell somebody, I really like this Xiaomi phone. I've never heard of them. Well, they're really big outside of your neighborhood.
Right.
And brands, that'll pop up. They're like, I've never heard of that, company, but so far every keyboard they've sent me, every little portable monitor, like this is a brand to keep an eye on. I'll be curious. What does Palpatine say? I'll be watching your future with great interest.
Yeah. What do these look like, a couple months from now? That's the real test. But, if there's a problem, I got 2 years to figure it out.
Right on. I am out of topics.
Same.
Okay. You want to cut this thing? Let it go?
Yeah. Cut it loose. We'll cut you loose. Hopefully you got through your commute or your plane ride or your bathroom break. All right.
If you had an issue, shoot us an email. You can talk to us offline. You can give us the business.
Yep.
I'm cool with that. But for real, if you want to reach out to us, shoot us an email at podcast@AndroidGuys.com.
Yeah.
And if you want to get a hold of me directly, you can find me on Twitter, swebster77, and Instagram. And Luke, if somebody wants to give you the business offline.
Yep, it's Luke Gaul, LukeGaul, on Instagram and Twitter. And I will say this, if you email us, podcast@AndroidGuys.com, and you send us whatever you want to tell us, whether you watch Red Notice and you think it's a piece of garbage, or if you really, really like making chocolate sculptures and you're hoping to get on that show someday, whatever you want to tell us.
Even if you got to the end of this episode and just wanted to say, I got to the end of that episode and said hi.
Yeah.
Email us.
Email us and send it. If you put your address in there, we'll send you something.
For real.
For real.
We're looking around the office here. We've got plenty of things.
Yeah.
So, shoot us an email.
The ball's in your court.
All right. I'll see you, Luke.
See you.